Alright, boys and girls, we have a huge problem with Rebirth. So, since the integration of Black Ops 6 into Warzone, the movement overall feels very clunky and it's not as dynamic as it used to be. And that's the reason why I'm going to show you today our tactics, how you can secure the win. Well, how you can secure the win in most cases, because it's very depending on what kind of enemies are landing with you, etc. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to forget the specialist. The specialist is completely useless at this moment because it disappears once you die, and in Rebirth it's very likely that you will die, or better said that you won't die at least one time during a whole round. So it makes no sense that you go for the specialist, because you will most likely face a team waiting for you at Stronghold. That's why I'm recommending that you immediately dropping on Stronghold and you go straight for a contract, preferable drone contract if available, and you get immediately the money up and running, and therefore can immediately get as well the loadout with you guys. If you drop in the beginning directly on Stronghold, you will most likely have like one team with you. If your coordination with your teammates is okay, you can totally take them out. There should be not that much of an issue depending on their skill level. Of course, if they're like super sweats, you might not be able to do that. But let's call it this way, in 7 out of 10 games, you will definitely clean the Stronghold. Since we are applying this tactic, we was always managing to get at least into the top 3, with some rare occasions where we like wiped in the beginning, but that's all about it. Another very disappointing aspect of the integration is the low quality of visibility, or better said, the low visibility in general in this map. So you have to be very careful while you're going through corners, because Rebirth and generally all resurgence maps, people tend more to camp, which is perfectly fine because, you know, it's depending on the skill level. And as you know, I'm playing with a VPN, so I'm usually having lower skilled people than what I am, but it's still manageable to outplay them if you play correctly and wisely. And that's about it for the beginning, or better said, where you want to start or where you want to like deploy in the beginning. I strongly recommend, once you have enough money, that you go and immediately buy your loadout. And once you have your loadout, make sure that you clean the area where you dropped. This is like the most important part of this game right now, because you can't be sure that somebody else is sitting somewhere in the corner and might get you back, wants to try to repositioning, or better said, engage with another POI. And speaking of which, in most lobbies that I've been playing so far, there was always at least one team trying to hold us back from a power position, or better said, from a higher position above. So you should always remember and bear in mind, okay, there might be another team trying to hold you either from Big Green or trying to come from control and hold you back from there as well. So what you would like to have as well, and this is something that we didn't do in this gameplay here, is to have an additional like airstrike or maybe like a mortar strike that you can pull on them. These kill streaks would give you like this time frame and time window that you need in order, you know, proactively engage with your opponents and ultimately secure your repositioning. As you can see here in this gameplay, we got caught somewhere in the, let's call it a sandwich between like two teams. So one team that was still fighting with us here on Stronghold, and another team which is holding us from the very top. It makes it, of course, more difficult, but again, if you play correctly with your team, and in this case I was playing with 2 of my mates, so we had constant comms up and running, trying to share all this information that you normally can't see if you play all by yourself, and reposition it as much as possible. And of course you need to get lucky as well with some certain bots which are also running here, which you will also see in a few seconds. Another very important point why you need to go immediately for your loadout is that the time has been now delayed until you get your loadout drop by the game itself. So if you remember, like during the MW3 phase, you always had your loadout very quickly, very fast, being dropped by the game itself. But now it takes a little bit longer. I'm not really sure how long it takes, but it's feelable, takes longer time than it used to be. So once again, make sure that you have first money up and running so you can get your loadout, get your guns, feeling comfortable, and immediately go and try to push or wipe another team. Remember, your loadout is your key to success to wipe teams, and wiping teams will give you the W on Rebirth. And speaking of which, you need to be agile and you need to be mobile. If you want to wipe teams, you will not succeed by just sitting in the corner and doing nothing. Time will not play for you, because ultimately another team who is more sweatier, who has more experience, who has maybe UAVs up and running, will get you. And this is something that you would like to avoid. But where you should rotate once you have Stronghold done. There's 2 options for you basically. Either you go on Big Green or you go straight forward to control. What I would recommend, and this is usually my tactic that I'm applying, is I'm always going first for Big Green. You have normally at least one team camping in Big Green or in the buildings or in the tents next to it, which will give you like another opportunity to attack the enemies from a higher ground, or better said, from a power position in this case. Big Green is excellent to outplay enemies, it's excellent as well to wipe teams, and more importantly, you have enough crates to open up in case your teammates are dying and to bring them faster back. I strongly recommend, especially when you're pushing like a full team, that you do trades. Another very important aspect of the whole team gameplay. What is a trade? At the end of the day, a trade is where one of your guys is dying, but you get a kill of the other guy or maybe of two other guys. It's so crucial and viable, especially if you have good comms. And speaking of comms, listen to your teammates. It's so important. Sometimes they give you like these small hints like, hey, you have so much money, go try and spend it. And this is also what you can see here. For example, in a couple of seconds, I will just drop from a building and go straight to the buy just to spend some cash, because as you can see here, I have more than 40,000 already accumulated, which is something that should not happen if you're playing Resurgence. Though I must say that we are currently facing a situation where you have too much cash. I am deeply convinced that this is just some misconfiguration or misprogramming currently by Triarch during the implementation of Black Ops inside Warzone. So make sure that you really spend all the money, especially on UAVs and kill streaks, which will help you ultimately to clean other areas, or better said POIs, of the map. As you can see, we right now cleared Stronghold and we cleaned Big Green and the surrounding buildings next to it. We know there is nobody at Tens, and our next position that we would like to cover is of course Control. Control is a very nasty and super sweaty POI, and in most cases it's very difficult to clean Control remotely, so you really have to go inside and kill them one by one because of the areas there. So what I strongly recommend is, if you have precision strikes, if you have mortar strikes, just continuously bomb it like we are doing it here exactly in the video gameplay. And while the kill streaks are doing their job and knocking down some enemies if you have lucky, make sure that you have a zip up and running so that you can immediately drop on them. Don't forget, your teammates, they can land on any kind of kill streak that you're pushing out by yourself. They will not get hurt unless it's a bunker buster, and better said, only the guys of it. Pay attention while you land on Control where exactly you land, because you don't. The last thing that you want to do is to land exactly in the middle of a gunfight. And once you landed on Control, just make sure that you use the whole area of it and do not stick to one spot, because you would like to clean it. And the best way to clean it is really like to pop and jump around through all the different areas, and not just to use one singular line how to get upstairs. As you can see here in this gameplay, I'm not immediately rushing inside because I'm not really sure what's inside. So I'm really trying to get a good overview, okay, where are the enemies? And at the same time, I'm not just trying to run like mindlessly upstairs. I'm trying to understand, okay, where are gunfights, where I can hear some footsteps. I'm listening as well to the comms of my teammates, which you can't hear here because it's on a different audio track. And for the sake of the video, I'm also leaving it on the other side. And as you can see, one of my teammates got downed, and I understood, okay, it happened upstairs, so I'm going to use the zip and not going to use the longer way up by using the stairs. And thanks to the broken audio, your enemies never ever will hear you coming up the zip. At least this is my experience at the moment. I guess they will fix it at some point, but again, if you know there are some bugs in the game, try also to abuse them. You can be more pushy than you used to be in MW3, for the simple fact that we have more broken audio than we used to have under MW3. And once you manage to clean up Control, make sure that you again spend the money that you just earned, and more precisely, you should spend it of course on UAVs. UAVs are your go-to-go if you want to make sure that you're going for the vibes of the teams, if you want to make sure that you're playing for the W. And I know I haven't mentioned it so far, but there's one major aspect that you guys should always use and utilize while playing in team, and this is of course the pinging aspect. Pings are so crucial. They have been crucial since MW2, and they're now even more crucial. In my very humble opinion, the pings are even more effective than UAVs at the moment, because they're giving you like a better understanding where one enemy is and where he's going in real time, rather than the UAV, which is giving you always like based on the ping where your enemies are. And this is exactly why I was even able to wallbang this enemy here, just for the simple fact that he was pinged. And while you see that I'm wallbanging him, I also want to share with you the next point that you need to immediately clean once you finish with CC, and this is of course the ship. Make sure that nobody else is on the ship after you clean Control, because they might come after you or from the back, and this is also something that you would like to avoid. So always make sure that you keep your back free. And while you can see that we wiped all the teams on Control and as well here on the ship, you can see that the zone is very favorable in our position. So for us, it makes no sense that we are now trying to get out of the zone and trying to get more kills, but we rather would like to secure the center of the position here, or better said, the center of the circle. And in this case, it's of course CC. So this is a very fortunate development for us as a team here. It could have been also that the zone would have pulled to prison and we would have to go up there. So in case this would have happened, then we would have redeployed. We would probably use like a mobile zip or similar. But in this case here right now, we are in a very favorable position, in a power position. And for us, this is basically already the win, because we know no other team will be able to push us. There are some teams up on prison. They have to jump towards us. We can get them. They are going to be like sitting ducks for us. And as you can see, one of my teammates died. And I decided in this particular second that I'm going to be the guy who's going to play prudent, because I know my teammates, they like to push, they like to go for the kills. I personally wanted to have a win because it was the last game of us for the evening that we was playing. So my decision was, okay, I'm going to try and keep this power position. I'm going to try to hold them back. And in case my teammates are dying, I will buy them back, which I exactly did here. And this is exactly the kind of playstyle that I like to play, especially in the last circles, because Resurgence for me is basically multiplayer on a big map until the moment where you can't redeploy anymore. And then it's all about this mind shift. I know if you are like a great player and you have a great movement, excellent aim, you probably will not play like me because it makes no sense for you. I'm just not as good as most of you guys are, and that's the reason why I have to readjust the tactics that I'm applying depending on the situation where I'm in. And then especially if I'm playing for the win, I'm not gonna risk the whole team just for my personal ego just to get another 1 or 2 kills maybe. And that being said, I would like also now to summarize the whole game. As you can see, Rebirth Island by essence quite dramatically changed in my opinion, because it's not anymore as agile as it used to be. Or put it this way, the mobility is not anymore given. Handling speed is too slow, aim down sight is feeling sometimes very odd, bullet drag is completely off, sniping doesn't feel very well. So overall the whole game is not in a very good shape, but I'm still convinced that we're in for a super good year when it comes to Warzone, because the movement itself feels like super nice, like the Omni movement. And once they have the integration fully done between Warzone and Black Ops 6, it will be an amazing game to play. I'm really looking forward for that one. You can see already that people have new movement mechanics. It's gonna be quite interesting to play it on a, 2, 3, 4 months, because right now we are just the first month in and people are only complaining about the laggy servers, which is completely legit, and I completely agree with that one. And as well, there's a huge cheating problem. But at the end of the day, I'm super convinced that we are in for a great year when it comes to Warzone. Just give Activision, and I know, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. We already did it like a couple of times. Why not this time? They will get it done. That being said, check out easygamevpn.com. We have currently a promo running, $6.99 for the 30-day package, be it for PC or PlayStation. It's the most effective lobby VPN that you can get, and this will bring you back the fun into the gaming.